whenever I'm looking at a college, I get really scared because there's something that is so important about the food. That you have to have good food.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me.
We're here today to talk about the universities that we attend, or Morgan, in your case, hope to attend and will attend. You know, I think she's got this. But it's really exciting because college is one of those times in life that you're going through so many transformational changes. You learn how to do your laundry and cook your own meals and like be an adult, right?
Yeah.
Scary things. But it's a super exciting time, and making sure that you go to the right location for college and the best location for you is just so important and so much fun. So I want to talk about going to college, my experience at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we can talk about your plans and hopes and everything and concerns about college.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, as a teenager who's in high school right now, I definitely feel like the pressure to go to college and be accepted into a college and the stress that comes with feeling like you're now going to be an adult, you have to do everything on your own. And I definitely felt that when I turned 17 and like 18's creeping up there. So I'm just, the pressure of becoming an adult is kind of there. But by touring some of the universities, it kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable with the idea of being on my own and having my own special place and making new friends when I go off to college, and all of those different things.
Where have you toured so far?
I've already only toured the University of Alabama. But it was the University of Alabama, and for those of you who are new to Miss America, the University of Alabama provided all 51 contestants with a full ride. So I went there obviously thinking, I'm gonna go to University of Alabama. I have family in Alabama, and so my grandfather was really excited when he heard the news, and I went there with my family and just walked around the university because it is actually so big, but it's very walkable. Not only that, there were students there who were giving the tours, so you were hearing opinions from people who had already been through the same thing that you were potentially going to go through.
What was your first impression of the University of Alabama, Morgan?
I think my first impression was how welcoming it was. A lot of the students there are really quick to say hello or walk by you and wave their hand at you because everyone's coming in and out. The whole town is a total college town. Everyone is saying Roll Tide there, and just feeling that presence of, yes, this could be my home in the next year or so was really amazing.
That's awesome. I love it. So a really cool story. I think it's really awesome because, you know, this is your dream school. So I attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I didn't realize how like good this is to talk about, but it's something that I think is important to talk about. Madison was not my number one school. It wasn't even close to the top of my list. And I think there are so many people and so many viewers right now that probably can relate. Acceptance letters are coming out, and you know what? I got denied from so many schools.
It's stressful, yeah.
And it was terrifying, and Madison was like, literally, I'm not kidding when I say second to the bottom of my list because Minnesota was lower, so sorry Minnesota people, but I am a Wisconsin girl through and through, baby. But Madison really was not my number one school, and I went there and I'll honestly say I cried when I accepted it because I was not excited. I was scared. I hadn't toured Madison. I thought I would hate it there. And I'm now a senior going into graduating this year, and I honestly could not have pictured my college experience going any other way. I always think things happen for a reason, you know, there's always some other force that's happening there. If I hadn't gone to Madison, I probably wouldn't have ended up in nuclear engineering. If I hadn't gone to Madison, I wouldn't have become a competitive Division I athlete in water skiing. If I hadn't gone to Madison, I wouldn't have met so many incredible friends that are now a huge part of my life. And it's something that I'm so thankful for that experience, and it's something that I will always be happy and share that story, because sometimes your dream doesn't come true, and that's okay, because sometimes it turns out better than you can imagine. Because you know what, I got a much cheaper education than had I gotten into my dream school, so saved like literally over $100,000 by doing that.
Here's a question I have for you. When it comes to sending in your applications for different colleges, I want to send out my application to more than just one school because I don't want to get my hopes up. What did you look for in college?
I toured a ton of colleges. My mom and I love road trips, so my spring break, like sophomore and junior year of high school, we just drove to colleges across the country. I did actually tour Alabama because I was in the teen program too as a state title holder, so I had that full ride there and that option to go there as well. And I went there, toured it. My biggest thing was if it was even vaguely an option, and if you're able to afford applying to multiple schools, because you know what, there is financial responsibility with applying to schools, and it's a struggle sometimes. Like, I had to go through and sit there and be like, okay, realistically, am I actually going to go to this school if I get in? And if the answer is yes, then I would go through and spend the money on applying. I applied to a total of 9 schools. I only got into 3. I got into Alabama, Madison, and Minnesota were the 3 that I got into. And I applied to, like I said, 6 others. The biggest thing...
What was the tier list?
So, number 1... This is just like me gonna be like throwing the shade out here. So, number 1 was MIT. I knew I wanted to be an engineer, and honestly, if I'm being completely realistic, I applied. I didn't really think I would get in, but it's always like, you apply anyways, just in case, and I wonder if they're kicking themselves right now, but it's okay. Anyways, so I also applied to MIT because I'm super competitive with my brother. He applied, he got waitlisted. I thought I could do better, but I just got straight up denied. I did not do better at all. So MIT was number 1 on my list. Number 2 was Georgia Tech. I spent a ton of time at Georgia Tech during my last year of high school. I did like a 2-week-long camp on campus. I loved it. I was like, this is where I want to be. It felt like the right place for me to go. And that was a heartbreaking day for me to get that rejection letter. I didn't make it past the early admissions. I got denied straight away. And that was, I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting in a breakfast diner, I had my little omelet, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have a glass of apple juice with my omelet to celebrate, it's gonna be great. It was January, it was cold.
She loves apple juice.
I drink a lot of apple juice. I'm just gonna have an apple juice no matter what, let's be real.
It's good for your voice.
And I remember sitting there, and I was with family and friends, and I opened it up, and I hit that refresh button, and I just was like, what now? I had my entire future planned around going to this school pretty much because I thought I would get in. I thought I had good enough scores in ACT. Funny story about the ACT, I took it 6 times. That's a good story. Sidebar that for later. No. So thought I would get into Georgia Tech, didn't. Michigan, Ann Arbor was number 3. So I honestly looked at those 3 schools and I said, I should get into one of these 3. At least one of them, right? So I did get, deferred from early admissions, and then I got denied from Michigan. And that was another moment where I was like, oh god, what do I do? What do I do? And because at that point, admissions windows had closed, so I was like, I hope I make it into these other schools. I also applied to Rice. I applied to, I believe, Rice. Texas A&M, and there was one other school. I
did have my eye on Rice for a little bit because they have an opera program. But
do they?
Yes.
They have a great aerospace engineering program.
Really?
Too, so.
Gosh, we'll put it on Rice together.
Imagine. What if. Number 1, MIT. Number 2, Georgia Tech. Number 3, Michigan, Ann Arbor. Number 4, Texas A&M. 5, Rice. 6, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember. 7 was Alabama. 8 was Madison. 9 was Minnesota.
Whenever I'm looking at a college, I get really scared because there's something that is so important about the food. That you have to have good food. So please tell me, what is college food like?
Okay,
Is it true that it's awful?
Okay, it is not gourmet. It will never be gourmet.
I don't need gourmet.
Yeah, no,
I need Wendy's, McDonald's, and Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so Madison, at least my college experience, I had a lot of the cafeteria food because freshman year, you typically go and you have a meal plan, you have your little student ID card.
They give you a meal plan?
Yeah, we had my freshman year, it was all a la carte. So and each dining hall was different, so we have different groups of dorms at UW-Madison. The one that I lived in was Southeast, so you've got this one massive dining hall for a very large group of dorms. And in my dorm was the furthest away from the big central dining hall, so we had one miniature one. Literally, it had one stand in it, or like we would have like Wing Wednesdays, Taco Tuesdays, it would be Comfort Food Mondays, like that sort of thing. So you could always have that if you didn't want to walk all the way to the main cafeteria building.
Right.
But I actually really liked the cafeteria food. It wasn't amazing, but the biggest thing is they had enough variety at Madison that I had different options. Because the biggest thing is like, I like certain things. You know, I went to the Mexican stand and I got a burrito bowl or I got a quesadilla.
Good.
Also,
Good.
UW-Madison, if you're listening, whatever is in your Gordon's quesadilla sauce, I think about it every day, okay? Every single day. It lives rent-free in my mind, and I'd love to know that recipe. Get a quesadilla and get the Gordon sauce. I don't know what it is.
What about the restaurants around the school? Would you say like the town that you're in is very...
So Madison is like
accommodating?
in downtown. We have so many things that you can walk literally a block off campus. State Street is a really popular part of our campus where it's a entirely walking street from campus to the state's Capitol building. So it's beautiful, first of all, because you look down this road and you've got the Wisconsin Capitol building, which is stunning. I think it's one of the best Capitol buildings in the US. And then you look down the other way and it looks up the hill to Bascom Hall, which is an iconic part of UW-Madison's campus. A very historical part of UW-Madison. So it's really awesome. And then you've got the lake on one side. That entire street is like 2-3 miles long. It's all food, all shops, like all commercialized businesses, not affiliated with the campus. And I love it. It's so great, a good way to get food and access to it. So Madison particularly is in its downtown area, but I know a lot of campuses that I toured didn't necessarily, I'm not gonna lie, Alabama's one of them. It didn't have that easy access to the community around it.
Okay, Morgan, what was your biggest shock when you toured the University of Alabama?
My biggest shock? There's not a lot of diversity, I'll be honest. Super friendly people, but I have been talking to some of my other teens, and one of the things that have come up is like they're not taking the scholarship because there is a lack of diversity, and that's something that colleges constantly have to work on. And I'm gonna say the University of Alabama really needs to work on that if they want students of more diverse backgrounds to come to be a part of their program. From looking at me, not a lot of people would know that I'm Puerto Rican, Spanish, Italian, Native American, Tejano Indian, all of these different things. But I'm also American. A lot of people just look at me and think I'm white. One of the fun activities that I got to do while on the tour was we met up with one of the sorority aunts or sorority sisters, I'm not really sure what they're called, but she was a very nice older lady who, she basically was like, I was in Phi Mu when I was a young girl, and she was taking me and telling me about the history of the sorority life at the University of Alabama, not just that one sorority, and was telling me if you do sorority life, if you are interested in that, which I am, then it's really good to go to each sorority, meet the girls that are there, do some your own research, check their social medias, because that's where a lot of girls can learn about each sorority and what their overall mission is. I think every sorority is a little different, and that's the stereotype that a lot of people don't know. That's the stereotype, is that every sorority is the exact same and that the exact same girl goes to the exact same sorority. And really, they have their own kind of community within each sorority, even though they're all very close-knit. So when I got to go there, I would talk with the aunts, I would talk with the sisters and the girls that were there, and it was really nice because we sat down in one of the sorority houses where all the girls have every single meal together. Girls were studying, girls were listening to music, they were hanging out, chatting, and I was kind of in the mix of it with other girls who were touring the University of Alabama with their parents and checking out sorority life. And there were some girls who were really excited about it, there were some girls who were really nervous about it, there were some parents who were really nervous about it, and just being able to connect with the other girls like that and see who was also in the same place that I was. Grace, were you ever in a sorority? And if not, why?
No, so I never rushed, never was a part of Greek life.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, if I'm being completely honest, I just don't like the idea of paying to be a part of a sorority.
And that's totally fair.
That is solely like one of the biggest reasons why I didn't want to be a part of it. I also think it does depend on the university you go to, because Greek life has a very different culture and a very different experience depending on the campus and the college you go to. When I was at Alabama, actually when I toured University of Alabama when I was in high school, that was one thing that I did really like about the campus, is that they seem to have a sorority for every different thing. Like, if you wanted to be academically inclined, great. There was a sorority that's focused on academics.
Yes.
Like, there is a place for everyone in a sorority, for everyone in their priorities, which I really loved. Wisconsin, I think it's a little bit more difficult to find that level of separation in Greek life, but you do have some really incredible experiences with people outside of Greek life, and I love that about Wisconsin.
So outside of sororities, were you in any kind of social clubs?
I was in a lot of different clubs and organizations. I joined Rotaract my freshman year. I am a competitive water skier, which that's a club. I would say that's probably the closest thing to a sorority that I'm in, right? Because you're spending time with these people. It's a college club team owning a boat. So, like, imagine a bunch of college kids owning a boat and trying to maintain it, get that stuff to happen. So there's a lot of combination of logistics and making things happen, planning out social events. And when I was the president of the ski team, like, things like that I was able to get really involved in and create a culture of positive and uplifting and good reinforcement for people who were completely new to the sport like I was, or if it was someone who had been skiing at a private 3-event ski lake their entire life. We wanted to create a culture of inclusivity for everyone.
That's a funny thing, is because I tell people that I'm hoping to go to the University of Alabama, and I toured the University of Alabama, and the first thing they ask me is, oh, so you're gonna Bama Rush? And I'm like, yes, absolutely I am. Because it's such a popular thing there, and it's part of the culture there. I was definitely hesitant about doing sororities outside of Alabama, but once I finally got there and I met the young women, here's another thing. The young women within the sororities are just like the young women you meet here in the Miss America organization. And there are also girls who have competed in the Miss America organization, like my own teen queens who have competed with me at the national stage. They also are going to the University of Alabama and are joining these sororities. So I already feel like I will have that group of sisters that's already developed before I even get there. And so just being in the sorority with them, I think will make me feel more at home and more at peace when I'm alone and I don't have my parents and my guardians there to take care of me, but I do have my sisters to rely on.
Yeah. So one thing that I really love about UW-Madison is there is a place for everyone there. Like, it's a huge public school, right? And Alabama's very similar, probably in the sense where if you're going to college for more of a social experience, you can have that. If you're going to college to get your bachelor's, get a master's, get a PhD, you can go that route. Like, there are so many different ways to create the environment that you want in college.
You're so right. The University of Alabama, if you do plan on going there, they took me through, even though I already knew that I wanted to go there for operatic performance and marketing, they made sure to take me through everything, whether it was all the degrees within engineering, law, medicine, communications, marketing, as well as the music department. They made sure to tell me everything that they had to offer, and so by doing that, I think it broadened my horizons of like what I want to go to school for and what I can let people know is at the University of Alabama as well.
Well, we have a ton of school pride. I know you guys do as well. So make sure to drop your favorite memory from college in the comments down below. I want to hear those stories.
And maybe if you're someone like me who is in high school right now and is hoping to go off to college, let us know what your dream school is and maybe we'll feature it here on this channel. Wait, which right hand are you in?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. See you next time!
No! Do it again, do it again. Dun, 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 dun. Bring the action.
Anyways, cue the outro.
I'm curious, George. I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse. I'm ready for war. I'm coming for throats to turn to a ghost. I need to know everything.